Everyone online says you need to scale with a course. And I say, sell the damn service. I'm Emily Williams, award-winning consultant and productized offer expert since 2014. And I'm here to help you work less, make more, and stop custom building your burnout. Each week, we talk strategy, structure, and the real stories behind sustainable service businesses. You know, from service providers who like doing service work, who want to stay in service work, but also just make more money. If you're ready for all that yapping, then let's dive in. Let's talk about 2026. How many of you have taken the time this year, this month, right now, to map out and set your intentions, your goals, your metrics, your numbers? What is it going to take for you to actually get there for 2026? This is a big part of what's missing in business, not just like goal setting, but saying, okay, I made this amount of money last year or current year, and go back as far as you can, right? And here are the trends and the patterns in the increase and decrease of that annual revenue. Here's what I feel confident in working toward for 2026. What is that number? And then you literally either divide that number up by quarters or months to get a, on average per monthly, what do you need to be bringing in? On average per quarter, what do you need to be bringing in? That varies if you care more about hitting consistent monthly numbers versus if it all evens out in the wash, you don't really care what comes in monthly. It's up to you. But then once you break that down and you say, okay, I have this end goal in mind, revenue goal in mind, what does it take to fill that container of that goal? If it's a $100,000 container, $200,000 container, it doesn't matter. What is the math, the little blocks that are going to be put into that box that make it happen, right? And then when are those sales, clients, conversions going to happen, right? So I have a giant whiteboard. If you're watching the video, you can see part of it on the screen. It's a glass whiteboard. It's what I treated myself with after my sold out services launch in November. Because I'm a visual, I have to write it out first. And then I figure out, okay, what's the structure and how I'm going to be best supported in making this come to life, right? So there are a couple of things that I did that I want to definitely talk to you about. That I think could be helpful for how you plan out your 2026. And then, of course, I'm going to walk you through what I'm actually going to be doing in 2026. So I'm going to pull up my notes here. My biz bestie came over. He helps me out a little bit behind the scenes with tech and launch planning. She's awesome. And so she sent me over the notes. So what I like to do first is basically kind of what I just walked you through. Look at what did I make in 2023? What did I make in 2024? What am I going to make, in 2025, because we still have some weeks left. What was the difference because 2023 was just September to December, so it wasn't a full year. So 2024 was my first official full year in this version of my business, right? So what was the increase or decrease from 2024 to 2025 for you? I saw specifically an 11% growth. Okay, awesome. So I could plan for 11% growth if I felt like that was doable and felt easy, felt light, felt realistic. I could plan for less percentage of growth and just do what I did again. I could plan for more than 11% of growth. You get to decide. And then do the numbers, right? What does 11% of growth mean to the revenue amount? And does it feel realistic, right? And you could pick a number and then fill that container and say, ooh, that feels like a lot. I want to scale back. It's fine too, right? I decided I would like to see another 11% growth, right? I just want to keep it simple, predictable, consistent, right? I already know what I'm selling next year, and I'm going to double down on what was working and just see, I don't want to say better results. That's what I was going to say, but I just want to see more. The results I've already gotten are fucking phenomenal and I love them. And I just want to do more of that, right? So I started with my end number in mind, and then I divided that out. What did that mean monthly? And so then on this glass board, I wrote out Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, and then the months in each quarter, right? And because I just had a launch where those payments go through their 5 payments, it goes through March, then I'm already bringing in sales from 2025 going into Q1 of 2026. So I'm going to account for that. I already have a client who is on a retainer. I'm going to account for that. I have a client who's moving into a retainer in January. So I'm going to account for that. I have a project right now that's going to be wrapping about February or March, but I think that she could probably move into a retainer. So I'm going to put her down as a hypothetical, as an open spot, right? And then I'm going to figure out, okay, when am I going to be launching SOS? And I'm going to plug those numbers in, right? And I'm following what, I don't know where this first stemmed from, but we talked about this on the show when Shayna was on, and we talked about the chalkboard method that Braid Creative used to do and was well known for, where she had a giant chalkboard in her office and she literally like created space. So a square or a circle or whatever, a shape, she created space for a client to fill. And part of that is a little woo, right? But I also love a visual of like, do you remember like when you were in school and the Scholastic Book Fair was in and your goal was to like raise a certain amount of money for your school or something, or you were doing like a relay or whatever? And they had those big like gauges that they would, I don't know if that's what it is, but a big thing, a big visual, look like a thermometer, or look like a gauge, right? And they would like print it out in the hallway of your school. And as your school raised money, someone would come by and color that in. I fucking love seeing things like that. It just clicks in my brain. It feels gamified and competitive with myself, which is fun. And so I wanted to create that. I also do very much believe in the power of like, if I create space for something to come in, something is going to come into that space. If I feel blocked in any way, my capacity is blocked, my energy is blocked, my desire is blocked, my creativity, right? If those things are blocked, the thing isn't going to come in because the door is closed, right? I'm not allowing it. And so I want to do what I can do to allow the spaciousness and literally the container of availability to be open so that people can come in and fill it. Okay. So I jotted down what's locked in already, tracked revenue for Q1 or as far as I can go into 2026, right? So some of these are a little bit of assumptions because I have some retainer clients who, when we're going to have our conversation in December about their retainer. So at the time I'm recording this, we haven't had the conversation yet, but by the time you're listening to it, we probably have had the conversation. Where we're going to be talking about what is the monthly rate and what is the contract. Is it for 6 months? Is it for a year? I know what I'm aiming toward. I'm aiming toward a certain amount of revenue for a year because that's just, it's easier for me to plan that way and predict, right? But that is a hypothetical right now. So I did go ahead and hypothetically push that client out for the year. I pushed another client out for a quarter because I do think that relationship is just going to shift a little bit after Q1. And then I put a hypothetical on 2 other retainers as like a 6-month. And I think both as 6 months. Cause again, I just don't know. We're just not there. It's planned for conversations, it's not assumed or guaranteed. So once I plugged in that, because consulting is way more predictable for me, it's way more, like I said in my 2025 recap, it's a lot more labor intensive. And so when I look at a quarter, it's like, okay, if I'm wrapping this project and I'm maintaining these 3 projects, I can really only take on 1 more project. Okay. And then this quarter, I can take on 1 or 2, right? So it's definitely a lot smaller. But I wanted to create space for those clients to come in. So I put some hypotheticals there. And then I really focused on sold out services. So the most recent launch of that went really well. And the clients are already digging in and moving forward. And it's going really well. So I'm going to bring that back out, right? Well, what's really cool is that for my most recent launch, my list grew about, less than 100 people. I want to say about 70 to 80 people. And I kept the majority of them after the launch was over. So a lot of them stayed subscribed, which is really nice. But I've created I call it Hot for SOS. It's a segment inside of Flowdesk where if you like signed up for the webinar, if you watch the replay, if you click the sales page, you are put into that segment, right? Because that tells me you're interested in that container and I want to know who you are, right? And so because I just ended that launch, there's like just a little under 100 people who are in that Hot for SOS segment. Well, I want to see if I can get any of them to convert with a low lift. I call it a quiet launch. It's email only, maybe a private podcast, some assets that are being specifically created for that group of people. But it's a quiet launch. It's behind the scenes. It's maybe I'm going to talk about it a little bit on social, but it's not like, hey, go sign up for this thing, go get on my list, go do that. It's only for people who've already been around, right? And so I have a goal of in between launches, as that hot segment gets people inside of it, to be very intentional about nurturing them and getting them the right information in order for them to decide if converting is right for them. And if not, then to get off the list, not the hot list, not the whole list, right? And just paying attention to that because I have 90 people, I have 97 people sitting there. Like it's bananas. Okay. So how I planned it was, okay, I know that I love a slow start to the year. And with Christmas and then my kiddo's birthday being 10 days after Christmas and then school starting, it's just what month am I talking about? January is still pretty bananas to me. I don't come back to work until about the 7th or the 8th of that because I like need to wind down from all of the things. And then I'm like kind of familiarizing myself with business again, right? With my job, with my clients, with like what's going on, where's everybody at, and just like organizing all the chess pieces. And then the next week is a full like, okay, I'm back to office and we're like back to normal operating hours. So I know that that's the case. So I have to plan for that, right? I'm not fully functioning back into work until like the 12th or whatever that Monday is. I don't have my calendar in front of me. And so because of that, how do I want January to go? What do I want to happen in February? And being mindful of how can I inject cash into the business in between bigger launches. And knowing I only want to do 2 big SOS launches, big public launches in 2026. And I know for a fact one of them is going to be in Q4. So where's the other one going to land? Where does it need to be in the calendar based on my schedule, based on what I've got going on? Luckily, my biz bestie and I have known each other for a while now, and she was a part of my business this summer, and she remembers things that I don't remember. I still love her brain so much. And she's like, hey, remember that like last summer you thought you would have more time and then actually you were a lot busier because of this, this, and that. I was like, oh yeah, you're right. Okay. And then remember this time and remember that. And so she was helping me really remember like my energy levels throughout the year, which is really nice. And there are really big things happening next year. My best friend's having a baby. That's one of the things. And her baby is due late March. And so I need and want to work around the fact that I had already planned on, and she doesn't live here, she lives in Oklahoma City, that I'm going to be in Oklahoma City for basically the entire month of March. No, May. March, April. Wait, March, April. How do months work? She's due at the end of March. So I'm going to be in Oklahoma City for the majority of April is what I meant. So, and I'm going to be down there at the beginning of February for a baby shower and March, end of March, all of April to be around when the baby comes, and then making quite a bit of trips there throughout the year, because I want to, right? And I want to be there for those things. And also knowing that in July, I'm traveling to Nashville to go speak at the Biz Huddle conference with Courtney Nichols. So planning for that, planning for just summer pool times and camps and all the things with my own kiddo, planning if we've got any vacations that are coming up or, my birthday month, I like to take off a couple days. And then when school starts, I take the first week of August off so we can like hit up all the pools one more time. And, just the things that I like doing throughout the year and that are going to happen no matter what. And I want to plan around them. And so once I was got all of those dates figured out and then kind of worked backwards, right? Of, okay, if the doors are going to go open here, then here's when nurturing needs to start. And here's when those emails need to be written. And I should, prep more episodes for the podcast because I want to be done this year in 2026. I want to be done recording all solo episodes and guest episodes by Thanksgiving. And right now it is November 26th. And so clearly I'm not done. And I am done with guest, which is great. Solo episodes I got behind. And so I want to just plan for that. It is not a like, oh, I let that slip and I did that again, or I did this. It's just saying, okay, that happened. That's not how I want it to happen again. So what do I need to do in order to set myself up for success if I want it to happen differently? If I want a different result, I have to do something different. Like that's how this works, right? So one of the cool things that I did also do was I printed off, and if you're watching this on the video, you can see, I'm going to show you these sheets. It's just from Canva. I made this in Canva, Q1 tracker, and it's January, February, March, Q1 focus. What is my, not just intention, but am I focused on launching, SOS, consulting? What is my focus here? And then once Q1 wraps up, what are the thoughts? What happened? What are notes? I want to do a better job in 2026 of taking these notes when they're more fresh in my mind and not okay, I'm planning 2026 or 2027. So I need to recap 2026. What happened? I want to be able to pull these out and actually look at it. But what I also did was, so this is January, February, March. These open circles right here are the spaces that I have open for new clients. Some of these are already filled. 13 of these are already filled through March with current SOS students and consulting clients. And so, as you can see, March has more circles because I'm planning a quiet launch at the end of February and into March. And I expect those conversions to come in here. So literally what I'm going to do as sales happen, I'm going to color in a circle. So I need to go through and color in the ones that I already have locked in place because I don't have availability. I almost poke myself in the eye. I don't have availability for all of these to be filled because some of them are already filled. I don't have them to be filled double up. You know what I mean? So I need to color in the ones that are already filled. So I'm just reminding myself, the universe, whatever, that this is the availability I have. And I made this for each quarter. So there's 4 sheets of paper. So I'm going to put them up on my wall right here and I'm going to be able to see them. And it's going to be really, really helpful at the end of 2026 to have that data. So I'm being intentional about that now, right? I was also really intentional about being very mindful of expenses in 2026. I've talked before openly on this podcast and Lazy Business podcast about some poor investments I made in 2025 and how I really needed to focus on the mentality that I had about what investments were doing for my skill set, for my business, for the growth, right? And if I was looking at something as okay, well, if I just learn this or if I just implement this, then all of these things will work. And if I'm looking at it as a kind of miracle solution, then I need to get regulated. I need to ground myself in reality and have conversations with people who can help me be a thought partner about that investment. There was a ridiculous amount of spend on education, consulting, services, all the things, right, in 2025. And a lot of lessons learned, and they were just costly. And I don't want to repeat that again. I am ready to be way more intentional with my funds, strategic with my funds. And I'm not saying okay, well, if it doesn't have an ROI, I'm not doing it. That's not the way that I look at spending. It's more so, what am I actually taking away from this? And is it something I can figure out on my own? I actually already have the skills. I just need to do it. Am I investing in this for the accountability of doing it? And sometimes it's needed, right? We all make our own investing choices. And if that's the reason, is that what I want to be doing right now, right? And so I have a goal to be pretty aggressive about my savings next year and keeping OpEx really, really low. Probably lower than I need, but to me, it's a challenge that I'm excited about of kind of right sizing and basically being like, okay, I did it. And now where's the happy medium, right? Because there is just the reality also, as your business makes more money, your operating expenses do tend to go up. Maybe you're bringing on support or different services, or you're rebranding or whatever, software, tools, etc. And I just want to be intentional about that. And so I did go through, as part of my 2025 audit and plan, I wrote down every single software that I currently pay for. I don't know where my sheet is, but I have a list of monthly and annual software. How much does it cost? Do I want to keep it? Do I need to downgrade? Do I need to upgrade? Do I need to move from monthly to annual if I want to commit to it for a year? And will I save any amount of money if I do that? So I'm currently doing that right now. I already did the audit, but there's a couple of things I need to look at math-wise, because I also don't want like every annual subscription to land in the same month. Or if they do, I just want to be mindful of knowing that that's when they're landing so I can plan for that, right? I'm also looking at not just software and tools, but also planned expenses for like I'm doing a copy cohort that ends, that the payments of that end in July. So I'm planning for that, right? I'm in another membership that ends in March and I'm not going to renew. And so I need to make a note of like making sure that's canceled, right? What are the things throughout, like deciding them before I'm in the need for them. Does that make sense? So that I feel like if I'm able to say right now in November and December of 2025, and I'm looking ahead at 2026 thinking, okay, these are the things that would be cool for me to invest in and have and get or do. I'm just going to like jot them down as like, remember, these are the things that like you were wanting to invest in. So it redirects my attention if there's any like shiny objects, but also maybe halfway through the year, one of those things doesn't really matter anymore and I can take it off the list. So I'm trying to be intentional about looking ahead and analyzing, what am I going to need? What do I think is going to be helpful, so that I'm not in a situation where I'm feeling a pressing need and I'm wanting something to be different and change. And then I decide to try to find the solution for that. You know what I mean? So I'm hoping that approach can be a little better. I am also working with someone in January. It's just a VIP day situation. She's a bookkeeper, where she's going to help me like for sure organize 2025. Also like give me the kind of percentages and benchmarks to aim for when I want to bring on support or when I want to invest in something over here or whatever. And I'm really excited about that. So aside from doing what I've already been doing, I am excited about next year really doubling down on SOS. Like that for sure is happening. And working with more collaborations and partnerships in order to kind of borrow people's audiences, right? I want to get on more podcasts in 2026. I want to host more like JV webinars in 2026. So if you have something that would help my audience, I want to host a training with you. If I have something that can help your audience, I want to host a training, right? I want to speak at more intentional online summits or conferences. I said yes to a couple early on in this business that just like the audience was too beginner. So I want to be very intentional about the audiences of the ones that I'm speaking at next year. I have already committed to two that I do feel like are very aligned. So I'm really excited about that. I am getting paid to speak in July in Nashville, and that's exciting. I think doing one more of those would be really cool. And making sure that that audience is really aligned. I am going to be doubling down on the digital ecosystem container that I have for consulting work. There might be a new offer on the consulting side in 2026, not on the SOS side, but the consulting side. So there's been again, I pay attention where I'm repeating myself, I'm creating the same things, I'm doing the same things. And so I'm excited about the beginning stages of what I'm creating over there. It's basically like lead pipeline management because I work with a lot of, TEDx speakers, authors, consultants, and They don't need a traditional CRM, so to speak, but they are not keeping track of when was the last time they had a conversation with this lead? What's the temperature of this lead? Where did this lead come from? How long did it take this lead to convert? What's the status, right? And where are we at with this person? And having a system that really easily updates that, lets you know who your hot list is, all of that good stuff. So I've been building that behind the scenes with my clients, and I'm starting to see some patterns. And so could I create something that is more applicable to that audience that is easier for me to deliver? Um, I'm testing out a new project management system for myself. So I did snag the lifetime plan of Kitchen. It's a CRM, and I'm specifically going to be using it for the consulting side because all of those conversations happen in my inbox. They'll email me asking a question or ask for feedback or ask for this. And systems that I've seen up until this point just don't fit that clientele. And Kitchen is one where it keeps everything in email, but you communicate in a portal and there's no login. And so I'm going to be spending December looking at setting that up and getting that really working for my high level consulting clients. So I'm excited about that. But it's doing more of what I've already done, but streamlining it, making it more efficient, and like paying attention to where are the opportunities. One of my favorite things to do, and I think that this is part of the secret sauce of how I work with clients, is I don't always love focusing on new leads and growing the list and growing the audience and growing awareness. I really like paying attention to, once you have a foundation built, like that doesn't have to exist. How can we double down on what's working, provide more value to your existing clientele, increase the LTV of the people who are already working with you, and get referrals and re-signs from the people who you already know? I know all of the people already, right now, today, right now. I already know all the people that are going to scale my business in 2026, that 11%. I already know them. Whether they need to introduce me to someone or that they're going to be a client of mine, I already know them. They're here. And I think so much of the focus is always on like, I need more leads. I need to get into different rooms. I need more people. I need more people. When we're not paying attention to the people who we've already worked with, who we already know, who are already in our corner, there's missed opportunity there. I literally call it hidden revenue. I did this training for NASDAQ networking community. It's over on YouTube, where I talk about hidden revenue and how to capitalize on it, how to find it, how to convert it. And that's a big part of the work in SOS that we do toward the end of the program, where it's the reactivation and referral pipelines. So anyways, that's what I've got for 2026. I'm really excited. And looking at it and looking at the numbers and looking at the cadence of the year feels really doable. And that part feels really exciting. So I can't wait for 2026. I'm excited. I hope that you have the rest of 2025 is amazing for you. I hope that you are baking cookies and eating pies and drinking hot chocolate and decorating trees and wrapping presents and doing all just the holiday magic that this time of year brings for so many of us. I hope that it's beautiful and amazing for you. And I hope that your year was amazing. And I wish nothing but the best for you and your business and your family and your health in 2026. I hope you stick around. There's lots more to come over here. Thank you so much for being here. And I will talk to you guys very soon. Hey, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Sell the Damn Service. I'm really honored that you spent however many minutes you just did with me. Now, if you could go do me a very quick favor and be sure to like, subscribe, leave a rating and a review for this podcast over on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, or, pick your favorite platform. I'm not going to be that choosy. It truly means the world to me. It's how little tiny shows that are like mine, that are self-funded and, being edited in between dinner time and school pickup, it helps us get seen. It's free for you to do and takes just a couple of minutes. And I would love you forever if I could send you an edible arrangement as a big thank you. I would. So instead, consider this giant thank you directed just at you for going to do that. And share this episode or this podcast with a friend who needs to hear it. I love ranting and raving about service-based business strategies. And, I think more people should listen to this show, honestly. So I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I really, really, really am grateful that you're here, and we will chat very soon.